History often remembers the eugenics movement as the work of cranks and outsiders, but its origins lie within the country's most prestigious campuses. These ideas were championed by the elite. The founding president of Stanford University chaired the first National Eugenics Committee. At Harvard, the university's president for 40 years publicly urged nations to protect their breeding stock, lending the university's name to international eugenic congresses. The network reached the highest levels of American culture, including Nobel laureates, Yale economists, and Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. Eugenics was the establishment consensus, woven into the fabric of society by the very institutions meant to define truth. Transforming a biased hypothesis into a prestigious field of study requires institutional infrastructure, and that requires significant capital. The movement found its patrons in the era's great industrial philanthropies. The Carnegie Institution, built on a steel fortune, took over the nation's primary eugenics research facility. The Rockefeller Foundation, built on oil monopolies, directed funds into racial hygiene studies, both at home and abroad. This funding established the Eugenics Record Office in 1910. It created a physical headquarters on Long Island, a professional staff, and a card catalog tracking hundreds of thousands of American bloodlines. Massive checks purchased a veneer of institutional respectability, rebranding raw prejudice as an official research operation. The Eugenics Record Office sought data through pedigree studies, sending field workers into poorhouses and asylums to record the supposed heredity of poverty and crime. The methods were fraudulent. Researchers relied on hearsay, subjective impressions, and photographs deliberately retouched to make family members appear physically degenerate. They also repurposed the newly invented intelligence test. A tool originally designed to help struggling children became a yardstick for ranking human worth. During World War I, the United States Army administered these tests to nearly 1.75 million recruits, generating a massive volume of data. The tests were culturally rigged, quizzing non-English speakers on American brand names and presidents to ensure that immigrant populations scored at the bottom. Researchers engineered measuring tools specifically designed to confirm the social hierarchy they already took for granted. Because the findings were formatted with decimal points, complex charts, and scientific jargon, they largely bypassed critical scrutiny. Top academic institutions integrated this flawed data directly into their biology, sociology, and economics curriculums. Natural history museums hosted international congresses, giving racial hierarchy the official imprimatur of the sciences. University endorsement allowed eugenics to trickle down into the public education system, becoming standard material in high school biology textbooks. By the time the data reached ordinary citizens, its prejudiced origins were hidden behind a wall of academic consensus. Treating prejudice as settled science provides lawmakers with the evidence they need to turn it into federal law. In 1924, eugenics testimony gave the pseudo-scientific backing for the Immigration Act, which closed America's borders to populations labeled as inferior. This chart shows the sharp exponential increase in state-sanctioned sterilizations performed in the U.S. between 1910 and 1930. The policy reached into private lives, targeting tens of thousands of vulnerable Americans based on manufactured biology. Science is a human method, vulnerable to the same class anxieties and racial fears that drive the people who fund and practice it. The legacy of this era remains a warning. The more prestigious the institution wearing the white coat, the more aggressively society must interrogate its claims.